Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chilling with Sam. This is a segment where I talk to interesting people about interesting things. And today's topic is the Healing Law Podcast. And today we have the host and creator of the Healing Law Podcast. He's a man that has been around on the internet for many years, doing a variety of things, everything from being a journalist out on the street to live streaming, podcasting. And he has recently created the Healing Law podcast, which is something we'd like to talk about today. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to Douglas, the creator of Healing Law Podcasts. Hello, Douglas. Glad to have you here.
Greetings, Sam. Great to be here today. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. I'm glad you decided to do this with me. I wanted to talk about your podcast. I know that you originally started out on YouTube with the healinglaw.com, uh, which I'd like you to explain to us what the intent was behind that and how it evolved into the podcast that you have today.
Right. So it's quite a long road. I think I bought healinglaw.com maybe 7 years ago now. And initially it was because I was into natural health and herbal remedies and things like this. And I was researching that. And then I saw how much the law impacts the medicines that we use and what doctors can prescribe and all this. And eventually, that led me to create healinglaw.com. And after years of, people like writing and having discourse with people and people reaching out to me, I decided to start the Healing Law podcast because a lot of people want to share their stories, but they don't really have an outlet.
Right. I've watched some of your recent podcasts. They're very interesting guests that you've been having there. And I know that you have plans for many more to come. Um, what type of topics are you looking for specifically?
Well, when it comes to healing law, it's like topics that are about solutions to the systemic problems that we face, whether that's natural health and a naturopathic doctor or a farmer who's practicing like regenerative farming and working on being in balance with nature and stepping away from the synthetics and petrochemicals that are polluting and destroying the soil. All these things that it's health law in nature, right?
Hmm.
How these things impact society. And I want to talk to people who have solutions um, about these problems that we face as a society. It's kind of a broad scope of consideration, but
It's interesting to me to start a podcast because it's no small task to do what you're doing in finding people to talk with you about various topics. And I'm guessing that a lot of the contacts that you have now you've made over the years through networking and whatnot. Um, is that what you're doing? Do you have uh, a huge list to draw from, or are you going out there actively seeking new people as well?
like mostly right now, yeah, I have a list of people because over the years, I actually started the Healing Law podcast 5 years ago or something, and I had a few interesting conversations with different guests, um, some of which I'd like to come onto this podcast again now.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, a lot of it is people that I've met over years and years and years of I backlogs of people because a lot of people used to contact me on healinglaw.com and they have their stories about their legal troubles and they I didn't really know what they wanted from me, but now it's just like, oh, maybe they just need an outlet to speak from.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I think today people are so used to being out on the internet that it's hard to find someone who doesn't want to talk out there, because everybody wants to be involved and to share their story. So I think this is a great thing that you're doing because from the ones that I've listened to, they have been very interesting. And I just happen to have a few here that I would like to share with our guest so that they can see what your podcast is all about. I know you've had your shorts and then the shorter videos and then the lengthy interviews. So I have a couple of clips here from the shorter ones that I'd like to share with our audience here now. So Let me do
Sounds
that.
The King James Version, now this is one of the big reasons that the Sefer got launched. The King James Version is actually a very good version in the English tradition of Bibles. And it really isn't the cat's meow, because the Bible that really kind of launched it all, if you will, that kind of elbowed its way in as a dominant writing, was the Miles Coverdale 1539 Great Bible. And the Great Bible was the Bible that was instituted by the English Parliament that said, okay, we're going to finally agree that we should have a Bible in English. We didn't think so. Only Latin only. And then along comes John Wycliffe. Well, I'm going to put it in English. And he got away with it, right? Because he was in this obscure little town in England called Lutterworth. He got away with it. He got it done. Then after he got it done, he died. And then after he died, Rome came in and said, what did you do? Oh yeah, he translated the Latin Vulgate into English. Into the English language? Dig him up. We're going to burn his bones. And they did, right? So it's going to be 150 years later that we come to Tyndale, and Tyndale is going to say, we need to have a Bible in the English language, because Henry VIII in 1532 said, no more Pope. Tell the Pope to hit it. Tell his bishops to get out of here. Tell his courts to hit the road. We're not doing that stuff anymore. Get rid of them. And so when he did, Tyndale says, hey, guess what? I got a Bible right here in English. Well, that's fine for Tyndale to say that in Britain, but don't say it in Europe, which he did. He said it in Europe. And they said, oh, you translated the Bible into English? Burn him at the stake. And they did. But his cohort, Miles Coverdale, he made the intelligent move of never going into the continent of Europe. He stayed in the British Isles. And so in 1534, the head of St. Paul's Church in London burned the Tyndale Bible. We can only have the Bible in Latin, said the Anglican bishop. In 1538, the English Parliament said, by law, there shall be an English Bible in every church in Britain, and the door shall remain open so anybody can read it. And the following year, Miles Coverdale went, I just happen to have the book. And so he presents it, right? Well, the Coverdale is the foundation for the King James. About 92% of the 1611 King James is the Coverdale Bible. They made some changes because King James wanted to keep things politically correct to ensure his power. But really, that tradition of the Coverdale Bible, the John Calvin Bible, the Geneva, the Bishop's Bible, the 1611 King James, those were all great Bibles because they were built upon the Byzantine text that had come out of Constantinople. And that was extremely important. They were not built on the Latin Vulgate like the Wycliffe Bible was. They were built on the Byzantine text, so they were more accurate.
I think that was great. That was Dr. Stephen Pidgeon, I believe.
Yeah, so the Sefer Publishing Group, yeah.
Yes.
Very studied on the Bible. I mean, I guess it's what it takes when you transliterate the whole thing. I mean,
Well, he's a fascinating person, and I hope you have him back as a guest again, because I listened to the full-length interview that you had with him, and he is he's not only intelligent and informative, but he's got a good sense of humor too. So I appreciated him. Well, the reason I pulled that clip up and then the next one that I want to show is because it shows a difference in your topics. This was more religious based. The next gentleman I think is Laren Hallmark, which I thought was an interesting guest as well, and something that actually his interview and his messaging, I think, might appeal to some of the people that follow me. And so I wanted to also show that one. So let's look at that.
sounds good. Specifically, what you're working on, which is the most interesting, is that you're working on these substations.
Yes.
For AI data centers.
Well, this one's not exactly for that, but the AI data centers are going up all around us out here. And man, I've been learning more and more about this stuff. And be honest, North Texas is in danger. If you hear about the Matador project, they're building, I can't remember, it's like 11 gigawatts, which is a huge amount of power. I don't even know how to put that into description for you. I sent you the picture of it earlier, but they're running off of solar energy and everything. Yeah, I mean, it's pulling so much energy to run these AI centers. It's crazy. But the water part of it is what concerns me, because it's going to take a huge amount of water to cool not only the AI data center, but the power plants as well. And they're going to be pulling out of the aquifers, and they're claiming that they're only going to pull once. But it's hot in Texas. I don't know if you've ever been down here, but it's extremely hot.
And the air is dry too. I remember, at least in some areas, it was the only time in my life I made a sandwich, and it was like, by the time I made it, the bread was crusty and stale. It was like so dry and arid. Like, it was crusty by the time I ate it. I was like, what in the world? So it's already dry there in a lot of the regions. And
yes,
so,
sir.
but they're putting these
say
data centers in the farmland, right?
Yeah, they're saying they're gonna circulate it around, and they're only gonna have to pull water once, but the water's gonna evaporate. They're gonna have to keep doing that. And all the farms and stuff down here, they run off of irrigation from these aquifers that are, underground, and it's gonna dry that thing up. And then they say that the solution to it, they're gonna pipe water from some river or somewhere up north, but they've been talking about that since 1950, is what I'm to understand, and it's just not feasible. But furthermore, I mean, if they were going to do that, why don't they just do that to cool the plants? Long story short, they're going to dry it up, and it's going to kill the farmers up here is what's going to happen. And it's,
well, not
I mean,
the farmers. I mean, it's the people who are relying on those farms as well.
Yes, sir, exactly. And it's, I don't know, I just feel like it's unnecessary that nobody really wants them up here. Here where I'm at currently, man, they got one going up here, and it is huge. It's like the size of another city. They actually had to shut down a couple of them because they couldn't get enough trucks to get the base out there for the pads that they're building. And we've been struggling actually trying to get dirt, base to build our substations because the data center's taking all of it, I talked to one guy, he said he was getting like 1,000 trucks a day, which I don't know if you put that into how do I explain that? 1,000 trucks a day is a lot. So yes, sir, it's about 22 to 25 yards a truck. So for every 100 yards, there's 4 trucks, So, but they're just, I mean, it's crazy. That's a lot of material to be moving out there. But yeah, they're huge. And I don't understand exactly what they're doing with that, but it's kind of scary. I don't know.
Well, that guy was really interesting, especially about the AI data centers. What it takes to build those things. I mean, I'm not a proponent for AI, so anytime I hear any information about AI, it just gets worse and worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not only the infrastructure to build it, but to run it, you need to, they need energy, so that
Yeah,
all kinds of forms. He's talking about like an insane amount of electricity needs to be burned.
it's just
It's just
unbelievable.
damaging to the environment. Again, I mean, not only are you taking the water out and doing these different things, you're gonna put some sort of like energy the creation technology out that's just going to damage the area